What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What's going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well. Obviously, the Mets have been having a really pretty unfortunate last couple days. Yes, we did play the Marlins. Marlins always give us a run for our money. But yeah, we got a lot of good stuff going on in today's stream. So before we get started, please, everyone, hit that like button. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, drop them below. I see we got a couple already, so drop them below. If you are new to the channel, please feel free. Share this channel with everyone if you please can. I hope we're doing extremely well. We got a lot of stuff going on in today's stream for today. Firstly, in today's stream, we are going to be going over the New York Mets and Miami Marlins series summary. We saw that went down. The Mets didn't place too super well in Miami. Then we are going to be going into the Subway Series. Yankees, Mets at Citi Field tonight for 3 days. That's awesome. So we're going to be going over that. Following that, we will be going over some possible news that's going on with the Mets, some updates that I wanted to give my thoughts on. And then obviously towards the end of the stream, after the comments and everything, I am going to go on ESPN Mlb Standings and pretty much just take a look at what's going on in the MLB in terms of the standings, because we know it really changed a lot. The Blue Jays, the Rays, especially the AL East. So I do want to definitely give my thoughts on that. So quickly, let's just dive right into it. So pretty much the Mets really had a very unfortunate series down in Miami. Simply enough, to start it off, we could see that the Mets only took 1 out of 3. And arguably, I think we probably could have taken, honestly, call me crazy or call me nuts, but I think we could have potentially have taken the series. Simply enough, what went down with the Mets, their offense, it pretty much went kaputskis down in Miami, which it's expected. But firstly, diving right into the first game, we could see game 1, which was a Tuesday. The Mets won that game. I think what we saw in Tuesday's game, which was the game I actually wanted to go to, but I had some stuff going on, and I wish I did. Tuesday, the Mets won 9-4. We had Carlos Carrasco on the bump, pitched pretty solidly. Obviously, he struggled the first inning, as always, but 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, a run, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. He did get the win. First win as a New York Met. Crazy, and is like his 10th start. Crazy to think. He did struggle the first inning, as stated, and that has been something that has really been a thing for Carrasco this season. He's really been struggling in the first couple innings. So hopefully Carrasco could really start to wake up. So as we know, he did struggle in the first inning. The fastball, left a couple pitches down the zone. What else did we add? Oh, we have his changeup. So that was definitely a big thing. He's switching off between the pitches, so I think that's pretty good. Following that, we did have Aaron Loup, who will also be mentioned later on in this video. Loup is a very, very relevant guy for the Mets, and I think he is going to be here for a long time. So Aaron Loup came in, Trevor May, Brad Hand, and Castro all quiet. Pitching was pretty solidly for the night. In terms of the offense, we're going to like where this is going. We are going to like where this is going. To start it off in the first inning, seriously, before the game could even get started, Big Meat Pete, my boy Pete Alonso, hit a home run to left center. And it wasn't, you say, okay, it's a home run. Pete Alonso hits home runs. What else is new? Well, this was his 100th career home run. Crazy to think. His 100th career home run. He just, unfortunately, couldn't beat Ryan Howard, who was number 1, but he was able to trample over, Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, Ronald Acuna Jr., as well as some other famous MLB athletes who were able to get to 100 home runs prior to that. So that was really cool to see. So following Alonso's home run, it was a 2-run homer, 425 feet to left center to drive in Lindor, 31st of the year. We had Michael Conforto in the 3rd inning who got hit by a pitch to drive in VR. Later on in the 3rd inning, Javier Baez, El Mago, also got hit by a pitch to drive in Lindor. So we saw Marlins pitching staff command was a little rough. Going into the 6th inning, VR had an RBI ground out to drive in Mcneil. And if I had $1 every time I said, RBI ground out or, sac fly, I'd be very rich. And then obviously following later in that inning, Francisco Lindor had an RBI single to drive in Dominic Smith and Patrick Mazeika. Good to see Lindor getting in on the action. Really needed it. And then in the 8th inning, J.D. Davis got in on some of the action, who had an RBI double to drive in Pilar. And then later on in the 9th inning, Pete Alonso hit a solo home run once again, 101, his 32nd of the year. Fun little fact, Pete Alonso hit his first home run at Lone Depot Park, Marlins Park, and then he hit his 100th and 101st at Lone Depot Park. And actually, Michael Conforto did the same thing. Conforto hit his 100th and 101st in the same game against the Marlins in 2019 at Citi Field. So that's literally the most random fact I think you can come up with, but I think it was pretty funny in my opinion. So game 1, Mets got the W. Eyes were looking good for the rest of the series. Nope, didn't work out that way. Wednesday's game. Game 2, the Mets lost 2-1. The Mets lose a 1-run game? Seriously? I had no idea. Yes, the Mets lose 1-run games pretty regularly now. Mets lost 2-1. We had Rich Hill on the bump. It's really a shame we really wasted this dude's outing. I mean, this dude was just pitching marvelously. And it really is unfortunate that we really wasted him for this night. So Rich Hill, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, a run, a walk, 8 strikeouts. We didn't really see so much of the sidearm slider, but his curveball was there. His swinging and miss rate was there. The chase rate was there, and he was just rocking it overall. I really liked what I saw from him. Bullpen was it was something. Juris Familia, Loop, both came in. They were pretty quiet. They did their jobs for the most part, pretty quiet. You had Seth Lugo come in during a tie game in the 9th inning, had bases loaded, and he kind of got into a struggle, had the bases loaded with 1 out. But luckily, Chaz Chisholm hit the ball to the shift in Javier Baez, and Baez was able to make a nice play to Alonso to get out Chisholm to make this game go into extras. And then pretty much what happened in the bottom of the 10th inning, pretty much we saw Luis Rojas make one of his worst moves of his managerial career. Just to go on a small little rant here, I mean, really what we saw in Luis Rojas was just terrible. The fact is, he put, listen, I'm not going to blame Diaz on this. Overall, I think if we look at Edwin Diaz, he was in, a right spot. It was a time to put him in. He was so close to it. He was 2 outs away. He had 2 outs and he was 1 out away, 2 strikes away in this case even, to get out of the jam. But I think you look at Diaz. Diaz is always in that scenario. He's always 2 outs or 2 strikes or 1 strike away, and he still manages to blow the game. But this wasn't really on Diaz. Yes, I mean, the first couple of batters, I think it was to Diaz. I think it was Isan Diaz. The slider command was a little rough. Threw up and in a lot. He really made Mazeika really work behind home plate. So yeah, that was pretty tough to see. And then pretty much you have runners on first and third. 2 outs. 2 more strikes to get out of the jam. Going to the 11th. Mets have the top of the order coming up. You have De La Cruz up at bat. If you look at De La Cruz's sabermetrics, his stats, every single thing, you could tell he is a solid good hitter that you would want to walk. On deck, you have Luis Diaz, who, I mean, his WRC plus, his on-base percentage, his batting average, the most simple stuff, literally would go in favor of saying walk De La Cruz to face Luis Diaz. I said it. I'm in every single Twitter chat, Discord chat, every single chat that I was in legitimately said walk De La Cruz. What does Rojas say afterwards? Oh, well, we trust our closers. That's great. It's awesome you trust your closers. The issue with that is it's September. At the time of this game, you had 24 games left in the season. If it was April, if it was May, I would say trust Diaz all you want. We have all season, but we don't. We are in a race, and we're probably not going to make it because of stupid mistakes like that Rojas made. Early on, in the bottom of the ninth inning, we had Patrick Mazeika pitch hit for Kevin Pillar. To be honest with you, I would have let Kevin Pillar hit. Kevin Pillar has been extremely clutch in playoff games recently. Extremely clutch. I have been liking what I have been seeing out of Kevin Pillar. You know, regardless, even if you didn't, you had James McCann on deck. Patrick Mazeika has no launch angle. He cannot hit the ball in the air. He is a guy who will hit a light dribbler to the first baseman. Unless the first baseman is Bill Buckner, it's not going to be a hit. At least McCann has proven that he could pull the ball in the air and hit a line drive. Mazeika, he did it like twice. Mazeika has only had like 4 or 5 dozen plate appearances, and you're going to put him in that situation. And, you know, what was Rojas' excuses? Oh, well, we wanted the righty-on-righty match. You know, that typical bull crap that Rojas does. So, you know what? Really, this is extremely getting exasperating with Rojas. And Rojas blew the game. Pretty much to say it, Rojas blew that game. But in terms of the offense, I mean, you know, I'll tell you this. It was pretty quiet for the most part. You know, we had Sandy Alcantara on the bump. He was elite. I think this was probably his best start of his career. He beat his strikeout, whatever the heck you call it. Most strikeouts in a game from 11 to 13. His fastball was on point. His velocity was on point. He was just looking great overall around. I give him props. The Mets, they couldn't really do much against him. In the 7th inning, Michael Conforto was able to get a home run to tie it up. But pretty much, you know, we just couldn't hit Alcantara's fastball. He was just the lead out there. And sadly, that's how it went. We did go 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position that night. And simply enough, Luis Rojas is just the biggest clown, I think. He is the reason we obviously lost this game, and I think we all know that. You know, sucks to see. But getting into Game 3, you know, a triggering loss, but not as bad as Wednesday's. Simply enough to see Wednesday, Thursday, my apologies. Thursday, the Mets lost 3-2. Once again, the Mets lose a 1-run game. Seriously, I had no idea. We had Marcus Stroman on the bump. Stroman, honestly, pitched pretty solidly once again. Stroman pitched well, 6.1 innings pitched, 4 hits, a run, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. I kind of liked what I saw from Stroman. I think he looked pretty adequate. The splitter slider was really there. I think his stuff was on point. You know, just he wasn't really getting offense in his favor. And I mean, a lot of his damage and hits in the run was done in the 5th and 6th inning. So sucks to see. Following that, we did have Brad Hand come into the game, who faced .2 batters, 2 hits and a run. He did unfortunately make a throwing error in the 7th inning to tie up the game. Just really sucked to see. I mean, people were blaming Alonso. Yeah, I mean, that was all on Brad Hand. I mean, it sucked. Following that, Familia came in, an inning pitched. His command was pretty solid. I mean, he looked good. He unfortunately gave up a hit. One of them was a run, and it was a home run by Josh Chisholm Jr. I mean, you know, just one bad pitch. Unfortunately, Chaz was able to take yard. Everyone got mad at Familia. Familia has been awesome. He gave up a run. Boo-hoo. The Mets should be able to score offense in the pitcher's behalf. I mean, if the Mets were able to score 3 runs every single game, if the Mets were actually able to score 5 runs every single game, they would probably only have a couple, like 2 dozen losses. That really goes to show how great our pitching has been and how weak our offense has been, besides Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, and maybe Javier Baez recently. So it really sucks to see. It really, really, really does. It's unfortunate. It really is. And the offense was quiet for the most part. In the 1st inning, Michael Conforto walked on a wild pitch. Good base running by Javi Baez. He stole 2nd to 3rd, and then later on, he stole 3rd to home, bringing Baez. Baez also hit a home run in the 3rd inning, a solo shot to left center, or more so center field. But we struggled terribly. 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. In the 8th inning, Pete Alonso comes up, leading off. He hits a ball that almost went yard. I think if that was at Yankee Stadium or Philadelphia, that ball would have been gone. But it was a triple, his third triple of the season. And his third triple in the last 2 months. Alonso has been hitting pretty well recently and really showing great speed on the base paths. Alonso hits a triple with nobody out. And what happens? J.D. Davis comes up, light dribbler to the third baseman. Alonso can't go. Same thing after that. And they strand Alonso at third base with nobody out. A sac fly? Is a sac fly a thing? Is a sac fly a thing? I mean, that would have been awesome. But nope, Mets can't do it. Go figures. The Mets are now 70 and 71, so not the best time in Miami for the Mets. The Mets always manage to have issues in Miami. Marlins, I say, don't get confused by their standings. Don't let them fool you. The Marlins are just generally a really good team overall. I think they're going to have a lot of potential in years to come overall. I mean, they got really young dudes. Their farm system is completely loaded. You have the talent, and we're starting to see it. They have a couple Rookie of the Year contenders. I mean, their pitching staff has been arguably a real big success for them. So I think it's going to be something that we're going to have to look at quite soon for the Marlins. I really give them props. And yeah, tough series overall for the Mets and the New York Marlins. But now getting into the moment of the hour, the thing that everyone is probably the most interested in. Mets, Yankees tonight. Let's go Mets, or let's go Yankees in this case. This is going to be a huge series for both teams. Let's get into it. Game 1 is tonight at 7:10. We will have Jordan Montgomery on the bump. 5-5 this season, 3.47 ERA and 131 strikeouts. Overall with Montgomery, I'm not the most knowledgeable guy in Jordan Montgomery. All I can really tell you is he doesn't use a fastball much, so that's probably a really big thing for the Mets. They're a team that can just not hit a fastball for their life. We saw it in Miami, so I think that is going to be something really good to see. He's not a fastball guy. He does have a high chase rate, so that can be a possible concern. But he does have low velocity, and he limits hard contact. So pretty much when you hear pretty much my three big oofs for the Mets offense is facing a left-handed pitching, guys with low velocity, and a fastball. Luckily, we only really have one of those in Jordan Montgomery, and that is the low velocity. Mets seem to do pretty okay with guys that limit hard contact. I mean, you have so much power on this team with Alonso. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe Conforto could pull the ball the other way. This isn't Yankee Stadium, so it's not going to be super easy. On the bump for the New York Mets, we will have Tylor Megill. As we could see, Tylor Megill is 2-4 this season, 4.20 ERA, 78 strikeouts. We could see Megill is really mixing up his pitches quite well recently. I've been very impressed with Tylor Megill. He is really mixing his pitches well, and I'm down to that. If he could keep his pitch count low, I think he could be much better. The pitch count doesn't really have to do a whole lot. He's simply a guy that goes out there and he's effective. If you go on his baseball savant, if you go on his baseball reference, high ERA, oh, boo-hoo. But this dude just gets the job done, and that's the point. I mean, his walk rate, his strikeout rate's going up. The walk rate is looking good. He is giving up a lot of hard contact, so that is something I would like him to kind of chillax on. So that'll be something. So that is game 1. I will be going over the lineup following game 2 and game 3. Game 2, which will be Saturday at 7:40. I don't know why it's 7:40 versus 7:10. I believe it is like a Fox. It's on Fox or something, and it's a September 11th, so that's probably why. We will have Corey Kluber on the bump for the Yankees, who is 4-3 in this season. 3.69 ERA, 66 strikeouts. He is returning from a long injury, so that's one thing to be noted. I believe he's made at least, I think, 1 or 2 starts since coming back, so we're going to have to see what strings Aaron Boone is going to pull with him. He doesn't rely on the fastball, so that's a blessing. He does have a walk issue at times, we know that, and he has a very nice curveball. So hopefully the Mets don't keep swinging at curveballs in the dirt, because we all know how much they love to do that. On the bump for the New York Mets in game 2, it'll be Taiwan Walker, 7-9 this season, 4.15 ERA, 129 strikeouts. He is pounding the strike zone extremely well recently, and I would love to point that out. He has been pounding the zone very well. I thought that was going to be a huge concern with Taiwan Walker coming back from an injury, with the high velocity. As soon as I saw his velocity getting up there, I was like, it's a little concerning. But he gets the job done, and he hasn't been injured yet. Knock on wood, fingers crossed. He has increased the sinker, so maybe, keep increasing it. I like that. He's starting really to look like his first half. I think that's really good. Just overall, my biggest thing with Walker is really just try to limit the barrels and go for more of the light contact. We know that he really switched up his pitches with the two-seamer and the four-seamer to limit the hard contact and the long ball. So try to keep it in the park. Game 3 for Sunday. Yankee starter is still to be determined. I don't know if it's still like that, but when I did my research at 12 o'clock today, this is what it was, and this is what it gave me. So Yankee starter is to be determined. I'm not sure if they're going to have an opener game, what they're going to pull. I believe this would have been Garrett Cole, but he is out. I think he's on the day-to-day or 10-day IL, one of the two. And on the bump for the Mets, we will have Carlos Cookie Carrasco. Had a pretty good start last appearance, so I'm hoping he could really try and really keep that up once again. So pretty much Carlos Carrasco, as we could tell, he is 1-2 on this season, a 5.88 ERA and 32 strikeouts. Overall, my biggest expectation for him, simply enough, is get out of the first inning. Get out of the first inning because we know how much Carlos Carrasco really has his complexities in the first inning. So get out of the first inning, simply enough. That's all I'm going to ask out of you. So that'll be great to see. As we could see, try to limit the long ball. We know the long ball has kind of been a concern for him this season. The long ball is something that has really killed him, especially in the first inning. I mean, his first simple start with the Mets, he literally gave up a home run to Jonathan India. And then following last week, that did also occur. So limit the long ball, keep the ball off the air, on the ground, and maybe use the curveball a bit more. And then obviously going into this series, let's get overall with what's going on with the Mets, what's going on with the Yankees overall. Simply enough, we could see Yankees are 72-62. They are 10 games above 500. They have had an eventful last couple games and weeks, and pretty much, they've been having an eventful time. They're coming off a 4-game sweep against the red-hot Toronto Blue Jays, and they have won only 2 out of their last 10. Not the best for the Yankees. We see they've really been struggling with runners in scoring position, offensive production. Their pitching's looking nothing crazy. Not so much like a Mets issue, but nothing too crazy. My overall player for the Yankees that I think will be a guy that the Mets have to watch out for and Yankee fans should keep an eye on is Aaron Judge. I mean, it's kind of tough to really label a guy in this Yankees team who I think is going to play well against the Mets. Obviously, we know Aaron Boone and Cashman really needed some type of remedy and cure for the Yankees offense during the trade deadline. They were struggling, especially from the left-hand side. So they acquired Gallo, they acquired Rizzo, and they probably had a solid 2-3 weeks worth of them, and now they've just been really struggling. Gallo's WRC plus is going down, his strikeout rate is going up. On-base percentage is not looking good for both of those guys. So honestly, you have a lot of choices. I mean, you could say Stanton, because obviously I'm not sure if Stanton will be playing outfield because there is no DH. So we will have Montgomery, Kluber. That's going to be interesting how they're going to have Kluber back. That's interesting. Well, he's just not going to swing. So we will have pitchers hitting for the Yankees, obviously. Maybe the last time, we never know. So that'll be very interesting to see. Pretty much my player for the Yankees that is going to be hot this series is going to be Aaron Judge. I mean, his against the Mets, he has 15 hits, 5 home runs, 7 ribbies, a 357 on-base percentage. Doesn't look great, but I guess if you want to be a basic casual, he has a 300 average. So that's pretty adequate. And in terms of the Mets, they are 70-71. Obviously, this is very tough for the Mets. Very tough for the Mets. They have been struggling. They're coming off a 1 out of 3 game series in Miami, something you never like to see. The player to watch is Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso has been on fire these last couple of games, more so the second half. 7 games, his last 7 games, 11 hits, 3 home runs, 6 ribbies, a 452 on-base percentage, and a 407 batting average. Alonso does also have a 9-game hitting streak currently going on. Alonso has been hitting the ball well. He's been hitting the ball up the gap. And overall, I think Alonso is going to have a nice series. If we were at Yankee Stadium, I would say Alonso, just go oppo to the right field wall. I mean, just don't let Judge, or if it's Stanton out there, rob you. And yeah, I think that'll really be the biggest thing for the New York Mets and the New York Yankees. So that is really all I have with the New York Mets series summary and the New York Mets and New York Yankees series preview. Please, everyone, if you can, smash a like button, all that great stuff. I am obviously going to go into everyone's comments. I see we have a ton of comments. So if anyone has any comments you do want to drop them, please feel free. I go over every single comment, don't worry. And then I would like to go over a couple other things. I think someone may have commented one of the things I was going to go over, so I'll probably just wait to it till it gets to that. But please, everyone, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, share this channel with your friends, all that great stuff. So what's going on, everyone? Galapagos, what's going on, dude? Yeah, I mean, if the Mets don't do well against this series, I'm going to be some raging. Galapagos, Quentin, John, Quentin once again, AB, Ice Cube, AB, what's going on once again, man? Quentin, what's going on? Eric, nice collection, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciated it. Definitely a lot of hard work right there. I know I added the new little Mets blanket there to keep the sun from coming in because I'm cheap and poor and I don't really want to get a whole special light sensor or whatever thing. So figured, why not be creative? But yeah, what's going on, man? Eric, I appreciate you tuning in. I've been sorry I've not been commenting on streams recently. No worries, man. No worries. Definitely do not have to apologize whatsoever. I understand people got stuff to do. I know Mets YouTube's been very quiet recently, partially with the Mets performing pretty unfortunately, but also people are going back to school, work, summer's wrapping up. So it makes sense. During the offseason, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot going on. Yeah, but Mets have been struggling. I mean, can they turn it around? We're going to have to look at their schedule and see. Baseball is my air. What's going on? Good day, sir. Good day. Karen, what's going on? Gio, what's going on? It's going to be a great Subway series. Fire Louis Rojas. I like that. I like that. Joe, what's going on, man? Joe says, shouldn't the analytics tell you to walk the guy hitting over 300 and pitch the guy hitting 100? Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much, Joe. I mean, I would make you the Mets manager right now if I could. You're pretty much right. Yeah, you're pretty much right, dude. It's just Louis Rojas. He's a dude that claims to be analytically driven, yet he doesn't understand basic stuff. So it's just I don't get it. I really don't get it. Logan, I am going to game 2 of the Yankees and Mets Subway series. Hopefully the Mets could win. Enjoy yourself at that game. Let me know how it goes. Hopefully you have a good time. Maybe you'll get some autographs, catch a ball, get some good food, or just enjoy the game overall. Yeah, what's going on, Joe? Kobe, what's going on, man? No need to apologize. Good to see you here. The Mets shouldn't even bother to bring back DeGrom. Why waste him or have him get hurt even more? That's a fair point. I could see where you're coming from on that. Let's get into the DeGrom story right now, and then we'll go over some more comments. With the Jacob DeGrom story, it really is very confusing. I do not know who to believe. You have Jacob DeGrom denies. Okay, let's start from the beginning. We all know what happened with DeGrom, July 5th or July 6th or 7th, early July, around 4th of July weekend. DeGrom was put on the injury list from, shoulder inflammation and forearm tightness, blah, 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 blah. Later, it transitioned into a elbow, soreness, inflammation, which put him on the IL for the past couple of months. Then recently, it was released by Sandy Alderson that Jacob DeGrom has a partially torn UCL. Yeah, you don't like to hear the word partially torn and UCL in the same sentence, especially with Jacob DeGrom. You do not like to hear that. And it comes to the point is I think it could be reasonable why. I mean, the dude has increased his velocity. He's throwing more innings pitched. I mean, compared to 2020, it makes sense why it would happen. So Sandy said that. 2 days following that, DeGrom had literally a 20-second press conference and did not take any questions from reporters in Miami. And DeGrom just went out there and said, oh, I don't have a torn ligament. None of that's true. Why would I be throwing? And we did see DeGrom throwing, having a light toss in Miami and at Nationals Park and at Citi Field. So pretty much DeGrom just went out there and said Sandy Alderson is lying. Why would I be throwing if I have a torn ligament? I don't know who to believe. I really do not know what to believe in this case. I don't know. Do I trust DeGrom? Probably. I mean, why would he lie? Unless, if anything, just lie because you're going to make Sandy Alderson look like a clown. So I don't really know what to believe in this case. Overall, if he has a torn UCL, it said it was partially torn. And then later on, Sandy Alderson pretty much just went out there and pretty much just said, oh, it's fine now. It's fixed. Well, it's not like paper and glue. You can't just fix it in 2 weeks. I mean, I'm not a science major or anything with the human body, but I don't think you could fix that in 2 weeks. And, listen, I understand Seth Lugo also took the safe route with Seth Lugo took the safe route. He had a partially torn UCL also 2, 3, 4 years ago. And pretty much he took the safe route. And he went for the light rehab assignment. And then pretty much he's kind of been on the question mark since, and that's why when he had the loose bones and the stuff over the offseason, that was a huge concern. We know Masahiro Tanaka from the New York Yankees, I believe in 2015, 2016, he had the same issue, a partially torn UCL. Instead of getting Tommy John, he played the safe route. That is the thing the Mets are going to have to eye on with Jacob deGrom. Pretty much, I feel with deGrom, it's a ticking time bomb. I'd rather him get the surgery if need be now than plan a ticking time bomb and make it worse. Every single pitch, every single thing that deGrom does, swing, pitch, is going to be a ticking time bomb. It's going to be nerve-wracking. It really is. We're going to have to see. We really are going to have to see what the Mets plan on doing with Jacob deGrom. Personally, give him the rest of the season off. It's not worth it. We're not really competing at this rate. You know what? If we were competing and we had first place in the division by 2 games, I still wouldn't say use deGrom. I mean, you can't do this to this guy. But yeah, Ruben, what's going on, dude? Just wanted to share my thoughts. But yeah, what's going on? Ruben, YouTube Productions. Quentin says, I'm rocking the vintage Johan Santana no-hitter t-shirt for tonight's game. Nice, man. I don't know if you're going to the game or if you're watching it on your couch. But also awesome to see. Obviously, I'm rocking the Jeff McNeil jersey and my Mets cap, appropriate attire for tonight's game. And Yankee fans, I'm sure, will be wearing their Yankees gear. Marco says, Lugo. Yeah, Lugo's been – hopefully he could get healthy and time could pass so he could be more elite with his curve. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to bring up the spider tack, but he is coming back from an injury. But, I mean, how long do you give him? Night Baseball and Sports, what's going on, man? I really appreciate you tuning in, man. What's going on, dude? Good to see you here. Nick, good to see you here also, man. At least Alonso made some history this series. Yeah, dude, that's definitely the best thing to see. At least Pete Alonso made some nice history this series. So, listen, the Mets seem to make a lot of history against the Marlins. So I say maybe the Mets should play the Marlins more, but then I'm kind of like, nah, probably not because we kind of slump against them. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how that goes. Kobe says Stross show. What's going on, Kobe? Good to see you here. Carson, what's going on? Mr. Cool, what's going on? Joe says when Alonso was on third with no outs, I was screaming. Exactly, dude. Literally, that's exactly what I was screaming, Joe. You and I had the same mentality. Michael, what's going on? Jacob, good to see you here, man. Jacob says, for this series, my biggest concern, obviously, he is a Yankees fan. He says, for this series, my biggest concern is our bats. I mean, over our 6-game skid, we've averaged 3 runs a game and a half, and those were because of long balls. They are not working good at bats. Yeah, Jacob, the Mets are pretty much in the same scenario with you. Mets are averaging, 1 or 2 runs or 3 runs per game, and they're pretty much coming on long balls from Pete Alonso and Javier Baez, or good base running by Javi Baez and errors. So, Mets and Yankees are in the same boat. So you have 2 teams that are really struggling playing against each other. So we'll see. The Mets, they showed process in Washington, but then they didn't show it in Miami. But there's teams that are way below 500. So, is there a, Galapagos says, would you trade Dom Smith and McNeil? I would. Ooh, that's a good take. Honestly, That's tough. I mean, Dom Smith, definitely. I mean, Dom Smith, I've never been a super crazy guy in him. We've seen he's making these bench appearances now, and he's staring at the ball. He's staring at ball one. He's staring at, strike one. He's staring at strike three. I don't know what we are doing with Dom Smith. He has terrible leg mechanics in the outfield. We saw that Mcneil in left field has been a goddess over what Dom Smith usually is. I just do not like seeing really Dom Smith wasting his talent. He was an overhyped prospect. I get that. He's a first baseman. I get that. He's not playing first base. He's left field. I think he is a bench bat. I really wish we traded Dominic Smith this past offseason, or at least when his value is high, because we look at it now and look what it has come to. But in terms of Jeff McNeil, McNeil's a guy who really had a good 2019. 2020 wasn't so promising. And then we know how he's been this year. I know at the end of 2019, he tore his rotator cuff. I don't know if that's going to be an issue for him down the line. It's been an issue since. He used to be a guy who just went, the launch angle and, all that stuff. And now he's just a strikeout guy. And, he's not even striking out so much now. He's hitting the ball well. Oh, but the XPA on that pitch was, point, nobody cares. It's an out. Baseball is a result-oriented game. He got an out, and that is it. That's really all to say. Personally, I would trade Dom Smith, McNeil, put him on the bench, and I'd hold on to him for a bit. Mark's here. What's going on, dude? LFGM, let's go. Yeah, big series tonight. I'm really, really excited to see what the Mets can get rolling tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. New York Classic in September. Great time, to do it. Sorry. Jacob says, once again, Montgomery has an ERA of 2.15 over the last 5 games, but he needs some run support. Pretty much for the Mets, yeah. The Mets and Yankees have a lot in common this year, it seems. If you, you look at Marcus Stroman, you look at Taiwan Walker, you look at the DeGrom effect, as I like to call it. The DeGrom effect is pretty much when you don't score runs, but, DeGrom pitches elite. So they pretty much have the DeGrom effect, where the offense cannot provide runs for them. And that's pretty much been the same thing with the Mets all season, really. Well, more so, kind of all season. Hopefully we'll see. Two teams that struggle offensively recently batting against each other. We'll see. Devin, so this is where it was. Devin wants to know if the lineup is tonight. I will get into the lineup right now. Just please stand by for 1 minute, and I will get into that. Okay, I'm not doing it on my phone. Twitter. So obviously tonight's lineup, I think I did take a brief look at it. Obviously Vlad Jr. is trending on Twitter. What a surprise. But yeah, please everyone, if you can, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, all of that great stuff. And we will take a look-see at the lineup. This lineup is really something. So obviously we could see batting first, the third baseman, Jonathan Villar. We saw Villar had an off day the other day. Obviously, and Villar has kind of been struggling a little bit the last game of the National Series and the Miami Series. He was elite otherwise. Very aggressive, having a nice smooth swing, having some great bat speed, being aggressive on the base pass, swinging first pitch, working the count. Villar has been good. So batting first will be the third baseman, Jonathan Villar. Batting second, the shortstop, the $341 million man himself, Francisco Lindor. Batting third, interesting spot. I wouldn't really suspect to see him here, but I guess he's been getting better. We will have batting third, the right fielder, Michael Conforto. Batting fourth, my favorite player, first baseman, Big Meat Pete, historic Alonso, Pete Alonso. Batting fifth, the second baseman, Javier Baez. Batting sixth, the left fielder, Jeff McNeil. Batting seventh, obviously Brandon Nimmo is not here right now. He is on the injury list, unfortunately. Batting seventh, we will have Kevin Pillar. Batting eighth, the catcher, James McCann. I was about to say James McGroundout. I kind of did that on purpose. And obviously, batting ninth, your starting pitcher, Tyler McGill, for the New York Mets, will be on the bump. So yeah, that will be the Mets starting lineup for tonight. So please, everyone, if you can, let me know your thoughts on this lineup below. It's going to be something else. So let's get into some more comments. Michael says, which team are you going to root for in the postseason? In the postseason, obviously, if it's the Mets, obviously them, but that's looking pretty slim. I would probably root for the Rays. Rays or Blue Jays. I mean, a team that's a lock right now is the Rays. So I'd probably go for the Rays, to be realistic with you. I think they're a really under-market team. They're just an impressive team. I mean, they don't throw out of money. They work deeply on analytics. They work really hard in their departments to get guys, to draft good guys, to make good trades, and they get it done. Every pitcher that goes there turns out there. It's like whatever pitcher goes to Houston and Tampa, they turn out to be good. It's crazy. Night Baseball and Sports says odd times are usually associated with TV broadcasts. Yeah, I don't know why they did that at 7:40, but I don't know. Personally, I like 6:40 games. I mean, the games didn't really end early in this case, but typically they would. I said I'm positive. Trust me, I have been so negative these last couple of weeks. I may as well be positive for a stream. Ruben says the Mets need to give Alonso a mega long-term deal soon. I agree with you, Ruben. They really do. They really do. Jacob says, I hope Game 3 isn't Chad Green. Yeah, that would be pretty unfortunate to have an opener role. Although the Mets have been pretty, honestly. I mean, when they had that small, 2 weeks where they had, Castro start and they had the closers and openers go, it kind of treated them pretty well. Just, I mean, when you had a pitch hit or have Miguel Castro bat, that was kind of unfortunate. But, yeah, I don't know who would start because I believe it was going to be Garrett Cole, and then now he's on the IL. So it'll probably be someone like a Chad Green, I'd assume. Quentin says, let's freaking go Mets. Of course, Quentin. Devin says facts. Devin, all I do is speak facts. Come on, man. Connor says, what's going on, Hayden? What's going on, man? Mark's here. Rough series for the Mets. Rojas better be gone this offseason. Oh, he definitely will. I am waiting for the time where I get to make a video about Louis Rojas leaving. Any news on DeGrom? Hopefully, Kobe, you did hear my little explanation on that. Quentin says, that's why I don't trust Sandy Alderson. They treat the Met fans like we are not smart, and Jacob DeGrom better take care of himself and stay for the offseason. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. I mean, listen, I don't know about Sandy Alderson. Sandy Alderson's done. He's gone. We all know Steve Cohen brought in Sandy Alderson, so the other owners would get on Steve Cohen's, approval rate and be fond of him, and then he'd kick out Sandy. Sandy is gone. Rojas is gone. Clearly, Zach, when I say gone, they could still be with the organization, just at a much lower rank. Like Zach Scott, I could still maybe see him being something involved analytically with this team, just not the GM. He'll be demoted. But Rojas is, I would assume, gone for the most part. I mean, that'd be kind of awkward to be a manager and then you just get yeeted out of that role. So yeah, Rojas is gone. I mean, the only guy I'd really consider keeping is Hefner. And, maybe have a reunification with Chili Davis. Hey, maybe look into that briefly. Yeah, DeGrom has to take care of himself. I agree with you, man. Alyssa, what's going on? I appreciate you tuning in to the stream. New York Rangers, what's up, Hayden? There should be at least 6 errors in this game. Yeah, probably. And, the Mets run creation, WRC Plus really comes from errors and wild pitches and pass balls. But I appreciate you tuning into the stream, man. Kobe says LFGM. Jack in the Box says Mets YouTube's been quiet. It has, man. Mets YouTube has been very quiet. And you know what? Listen, that's the dozen people that are in the chat right now. You guys are the real Met fans. You guys are the elites. You guys suffer with the Mets when they're playing good or when they're playing bad when you wouldn't need to suffer. You know what? I know people that are Orioles fans, Pirates fans, and just, and overall teams that are generational losers, and they're still fans of them. If I was an Orioles fan, if this was Orioles Talk with Hayden, I'd be coming on here at the same exact time, going over the same exact stuff. I would still do series recaps and summaries. No matter how bad a team plays, I will still cover it. And honestly, whenever the Mets do start to play well, whenever they make the playoffs, whenever they win a World Series, whether that's a year from now or 10 years from now, it will make it much more enjoyable. You suffer, and then you get what you want. That's how I feel it. So yeah, we're going to have to see how that goes. But yeah, I agree with you, man. It's been quiet, but there's other reasonings too. School's going on. People going, a A lot of people are starting school. Summer's ending down, so it makes sense. Logan says, good stream. I appreciate you, man. Karen says, Mets better be tough tonight versus the Yankees. Loss. Yeah, Blue Jays are competing. We will go over the standings. Quentin says, I should do calls for the lineup. I should. People say I should be an announcer. I definitely am going to start streaming more games. Andre says, Hayden, who would you hire as a manager? That's a great question, Andre. I appreciate you tuning in. I have not seen you on the channel before, so please, if you can, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, there's a lot of good guys out there, Andre. I say there's a lot of good guys, but there's also not a whole lot. Two guys that stand out to me is Buck Showalter and Carlos Beltran. I think, honestly, in terms of Carlos Beltran, the Astros cheating scandal I think it's kind of behind MLB for the most part. Alex Cora has a job. AJ Hinch has a job. I think Carlos Beltran could have a job. I always love a manager who used to be a player in the major leagues. They know what it feels like to be in their shoes. They know what it feels like, whether they were an outfielder, whether they were a bullpen pitcher. They know what it feels to be like in a situation as a player in the dugout, in the bullpen, on the field, on the base paths, in the batter's box, whatever. They know what it feels like. So that's why I'm a really big advocate for Beltran. Yeah, maybe you can make the argument, Beltran, he's a rookie manager. Everyone was kind of as Rojas. Rojas was managing AAA, and it's the same thing. So we're going to have to see. But yeah, Andre, Showalter's a fair choice. Beltran's a fair choice. Bob Melvin was a guy that I briefly expressed about. I don't know if you guys know him. He's the manager of the A's, elite guy. He does have, I think, 1 year left on his contract, but I think the A's are in the process of extending him. So we're going to have to see how Bob Melvin could potentially go. That's what I'm going to go with. Beltran's a fair choice. Showalter's a good choice. Melvin's a fair choice. Ice Cube says, I'm a Toronto Leafs fan. Yeah, listen. Ice Cube sums it up perfectly. You suffer with the team. James Earl Cash, what's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in. Ruben says Melvin. Yeah, Bob Melvin would be good, but I think the A's are going to extend him. Now, obviously, taking a look at what's going on with the standings. I am definitely going to be going over my predictions for the award winners probably when the season ends, because we have some more time, but I think it could be pretty obvious on who I think will take it. So quickly, I will be sharing my screen, and we will get into a new little segment on the channel I like to do, talking about the standings in baseball. So obviously, right now, we are going to go to ESPN. I don't like MLB's version. So we are going to be going to ESPN. Apologize about that. Taking a look-see at ESPN. Simply enough, we could see ESPN right here, all these annoying ads. So we could see in first place, we have the Tampa Bay Rays, the Chicago White Sox, and the Astros. So we could see a lot has changed this last week. Blue Jays, we'll start off with the AL East. The Blue Jays have been playing well. Blue Jays swept 4 from the New York Yankees, as we all know. Blue Jays, Marcus Semien has been providing MVP performances from them this season. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been providing MVP performances from this season. You have arguably 2 or 3 guys that are competing in MVP on your team. You have a Cy Young contender in Robbie Ray on your team. Blue Jays have just been on fire. So you got the Rays in first place. If the season were to end today, you'd have the Rays making the playoffs. In the Central, you have the White Sox, who got a little roughed up against the A's recently. We're going to have to see how that goes. But White Sox, they're in a division where it's really just them, the 500 Cleveland, and then pretty much the Tigers, Royals, and Twins that are pretty much hovering below 500. In the West, you have the Astros. You have a really close division. You have the Astros in first. They've been very hot. Offensively, they are the best team against opposing teams that have a record of 500 and more. In the AL West, with the Astros, Mariners, and Athletics, a lot of their remaining games are against in-division teams. So those games will be ginormous for them. So the Astros would make the playoffs. In terms of the AL, if the season were to end right now, who would make the playoffs? We would have the Rays get the first spot at 88 wins, obviously. I think they could easily get to 100. Rays definitely can. So we have the Tampa Bay Rays getting the first spot. We have the Chicago White Sox winning the Central. We have the Houston Astros winning the West. In terms of the wild card, we could see, we'll go over the league just so I'm right. We will have the Boston Red Sox in the first spot and the New York Yankees in the second spot. But look, the Blue Jays are 0.5 games behind. As we can see, they played one less game theoretically. So, I mean, that's not their fault. But, oh well. If the Yankees lose tonight to the Mets and the Blue Jays beat the Orioles tonight, Blue Jays claim second spot of the second wild card. And, still you got the Mariners here 2 games behind, as well as tied with the Athletics, who are also 2 games behind. And then you also have Cleveland that's kind of hovering behind. So I don't know. They're always a team that'll be in the eye, I guess. And then for the National League, obviously we could see for the National League, taking a look-see, the Braves are in first place. They played pretty adequately enough against Washington Nationals. They won yesterday. They walked it off. Freddie Freeman was able to be pretty clutch, as well as, what is his face? The former Marlin. I forgot his name. So, yeah. Atlanta Braves, first place. They're taking the division. You have the Milwaukee Brewers in the Central, 86 wins. They could potentially maybe even get to 102 if close enough. 86 wins. They're winning the Central. And then you have the Giants. NL West is really close. You have the Giants between the Dodgers, really just 2 games back, really, from this rate. That Dodgers and Giants series was really, I think, a big point this season for them. So, yeah, Giants are winning the division here, clearly. And then in terms of the overall, including the wild card, we could see the Giants would win the West. The Brewers would win the Central. Braves would win the East. And then you would have the Dodgers and the Padres making the wild card. Reds are pretty close behind. Cardinals are pretty close behind. The Phillies are pretty close behind. I mean, Mets, Cubs, Rockies. I mean, otherwise all 500 below from here. So, yeah, pretty interesting to see. But I think the best teams to look out for this week are the Toronto Blue Jays. They won their last 8 games, an 8-game win streak. They are 9-1 in their last 10. So I think they're a team to look out for. Mariners, 7-3 their last 10. They're a team to look out for. Rays, as always. In terms of the National League, I think the Giants are a team to look out for. Dodgers, Brewers. Cubs have honestly been doing stuff. Cubs have been 8-2 in their last 10. Kind of unfortunate they traded away, but that was their problem. So we're going to have to see how that goes. Overall standings, may as well pull it up. Best team in baseball right now are the Giants, and the worst team are the D-backs, who will probably get to 100 losses, no doubt. 1 in their last 9. They've been pretty slumping. And then you got the Orioles, who I guess the Orioles are probably glad they are not in last place. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how that goes for them. So, really, really big series for these teams going ahead. But if anyone else has any more comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I'm going to check Twitter, see if anything is new. For the most part, I think it seems pretty quiet. The game will be starting in 2 hours. Luis Rojas did have a press conference today saying Brandon Nimmo is healing quicker than usual. Nimmo has been healing pretty quickly, so I will take that. Let's see what else is new. I think that's really it. It's really just about Nimmo. That is really it with the Mets and news. We know there were some discussions during the week about a possible Aaron Loup extension. Aaron Loup is a guy that I think the Mets should really look into keeping around. He is a nice lefty. The Mets lack left-handed pitching in the bullpen. That's blatantly obvious. Baseball kind of has limited left-handed. Only 7% of the world is left-handed. So, that kind of makes sense. But the Mets don't really have a whole lot of left-handed pitching access. They traded Chris Wilson this offseason, which I guess was kind of a blessing in disguise to some extent. And then otherwise, I mean, Devin Standard here, extend Loop. I agree with you. Loop is a guy who's been nice. He was with the Rays organization. He has playoff experience. He's a guy who will go out there and be, I think he is honestly the best free agent signing that we got this offseason, maybe in terms of defense and pitching. He's been a guy that has been just on fire. You put him in situations, bases loaded, nobody out, 3-0 count, and he gets out of it. Gorgeous secondary pitches. I love what I see from him. The sidearm merchant. Mets should definitely consider bringing this guy around. It just depends what they're going to want from him. Alonso was also a guy that people were talking about having a huge, give him a long-term contract. We saw Tatis got one. We know Soto could potentially be next. We saw Mookie Betts got one recently. We saw Bryce Harper got one recently. Francisco Lindor just got one. So that's going to be a question. Is Steve Cohen in the Mets front office, up to giving Alonso a long-term deal? Potentially. I mean, I think he's 27. Obviously, he is still technically on a rookie contract. I think he has up until 2025. So I think, Mets have him down for the most part till then. So, but, it's always good to think about, get it over with. I mean, it makes sense. So, yeah, obviously, Mets, definitely should consider an extension with Pete Alonso. What that is, I don't know. Something, it could be 8, 9, a decade-long deal. In terms of the money, I couldn't pinpoint it. I mean, we really only got his rookie season and this season. 2020, I'm not counting it. So, we're going to have to see more of what Alonso can provide. I think he can get a guy who could get a fair amount of money. I don't think he'll be getting $341 million worth, but maybe around, around the 200 to 300 mark potentially. So, yeah, we're going to have to see what Alonso goes. Good stream. I appreciate it, Ruben. Kobe says, do you think Vlad can win the Triple Crown? That's what I was looking at when I talked about Vlad on Twitter. Vlad Jr. is, I think, literally second in home runs, second in, RBIs, and second in hits. So that would literally be the Triple Crown there. I think, honestly, he could definitely potentially win the Triple Crown. I think it is possible. If he does, it's close because you got two great MVP candidates in the AL, Shohei Ohtani, Vlad Guerrero Jr., and maybe potentially, maybe Matt Olson. I don't know. He hasn't been super elite like them. But I think he could potentially win the Triple Crown. Shohei has been, coming off a little bit with the long balls. So we'll see how that goes. Joe says, get rid of Brad Hand and move Rich Hill to the bullpen. Yeah, honestly, Brad Hand, I don't know what we're going to see with Brad Hand anymore. It's just then we don't really have any left-handed pitching in the rotation. And I like to have a lefty out there just because, it's always good to have Rojas. Rojas plays that crap anyway, so it is good to have. Then you would, DFA Hand? The Hand contract didn't make sense. The Blue Jays are paying him $7 million for the year. We're paying, $7 million for 30 days. And in some miracle, the Mets make the playoffs, he won't even be able to make it. So that'll be interesting. So we're going to have to see how that goes. And Galapagos is LFGM. So, yeah. So it's going to be something with, Brad Hand. Hopefully him and Jeremy Hefner could work together. Try to make him more elite. Hefner is a good pitching coach. I have trust in Hefner. You look at what he's done with his rotation the first half, and he's starting to show it back in the second half. I think it just had a little, pitching slump maybe. It happens. You feel the pressure with DeGrom on your side. It happens. Obviously, crap. I was about to say something I forgot. In terms of the pitching, and also with Brad Hand, you have to look at, his usage of what pitch is thrown, with the fastball and slider. We saw he's been using the fastball more opposed to the slider, and the slider velocity has decreased a little bit. So that is obviously something that you definitely should take a little eye on. I don't know where it's just going to be something to see with this Mets team. Hopefully the Mets could try to get something rolling. Otherwise, it's a very long and excruciating season. LFGM, yeah. So if anyone else has any more comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to drop them below. We are at the hour mark. Good stream. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning in. Mets need DeGrom. They certainly do, Marks here. I appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream. As always, Mets have been doing typical Mets things recently. They get on everyone's radar and then they decide to blow it, because just why not? But good stuff coming ahead for the Mets. You know, they got a huge, whatever you want to call it. They got a huge schedule coming ahead for them. This is going to be something for the Mets. Hopefully they could try to get something rolling. That is the biggest goal. The Mets try to get hot, try to get something rolling. I don't really want to count the Marlins series so much because, like I said, the Marlins, they are a solid team. Don't be fooled by the record. They have talent. They have a core. They're going to be a dangerous team in a couple of years. So that's going to be it. We're going to have to see how that goes. Otherwise, I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream. As always, if you can, turn on those post notifications, hit that like button. Any comments, questions, or concerns, drop them below. If you want, follow me on all of my social medias. Please feel free to do that. You could see my let me get rid of that comment. As you can see, follow me on all my social medias. We could talk baseball personally. If you want to talk about the Mets, Astros, Diamondbacks, whatever. Follow me on Twitter at Mets Hayden. That is probably the best option. If you do want to message me on Twitter, on Instagram, Hayden_Jerglowitz, and on Snapchat, why not too, Hayden JJ5. Obviously, Twitter is the best way to keep in contact with me because I will give some during in-game thoughts about potential pitch hit or takeout of a pitcher. So yeah, check me out on those. Message me, whatever you want. Give me a follow, all that great stuff. Subscribe to this channel, obviously. Big season coming ahead. I know everyone's like, oh, the season's over. The season's over. You know what? Listen, it's, you got 20 more games to go. Listen, last year we went from having, begging to have baseball. And now we have baseball. And now Mets fans aren't even bothered or watching it. I understand. I'm the person that literally rages on the most negative person ever. I get it. So yeah, we're going to have to see how that goes. Otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If anyone else has any more comments, questions, or concerns, drop them below as always. Otherwise, game tonight at 7:10 at Citi Field, Yankees, Mets. It's going to be a big series. Tomorrow, Yankees, Mets, 7:40. And then Sunday Night Baseball. I forgot. The Mets will be playing on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. So we're going to have to see how the Mets do during that. We know the Mets are a team that don't do too typically well on Sunday Night Baseball. So we're going to have to see how that goes. So, yes. I'll just check in Twitter once again. I'll see if anything's popping up. Otherwise, we'll probably call it a stream here. Pretty much just about Luis Rojas. This is what I was talking about during the Triple Crown thing. Vlad Jr. could definitely win the Triple Crown. I think it is extremely possible. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Mets need DeGrom. I agree with you, man. They really do. Good stream, of course. See you, Ruben. Mark says, can you look at the stats leaders? Yeah, I could do that. I could definitely pull that up. As we could see, yeah, why not? Give me a minute to pull that up. All right, MLB Stats. All right, so as we could see in terms of MLB Stats, it's over here on the right-hand side. We saw Chris Bryant got a nice standing ovation in Chicago. Good to see. But yeah, let's go to like this one. Okay, like copyrighted. As we could see in terms of home runs, we could see home runs. We have the one and only Shohei Ohtani up only by one. Vlad's getting up there. Salvador Perez is getting up there. We can see my boy Big Meat Pete Alonso is at 32, so he's only 11 behind. He could definitely get there. I think Alonso could definitely get 40 home runs by the end of the season. So home runs currently is leading by Shohei Ohtani, but getting close by Vlad Jr., who could tie it with one swing of the bat tonight. RBIs is led by Jose Abreu and Salvador Perez. Obviously, Rafi Devers is close. Vlad Jr. is close. Adam Duvall is close. Meadows is close. We have my boy Pete Alonso, who I think is right somewhere. I think he has like 83 there, 84. In terms of walks, we could see Juan Soto leads the league in walks. Didn't expect that. I see he took over Joey Gallo's spot. 116 walks. You hoped it would have been Nimmo, but sadly couldn't get a whole lot of playing time. Runs, I believe, is Vlad Jr., 107, but approaching behind is Freeman and Bichette. In terms of hits, we could see is Vlad Jr. He has more hits than games this season, 165 hits, with behind him Trey Turner, and Vlad Jr.'s teammate, Bo Bichette, 159. Cedric Mullins, Whit Merrifield, David Fletcher. Pretty surprising to see David Fletcher in that topic. Adam Frazier. In terms of doubles, we can see Jeimer Candelario from the Tigers is 39. Tommy Edman, JD Martinez are second with 37. In terms of triples, it won't be super high, but David Peralta from the Diamondbacks has 8. Otherwise, pretty close race. Ozzie Albies, Akil Baddoo, Jake Cronenworth, Rosario all with 6. Strikeouts, I believe, is Joey Gallo, correct? Almost at 200 strikeouts. Chapman's up there. Otani's there. Dolis Garcia's there. Garcia's been striking out a lot. He hasn't really been looking like his first half self. Stolen bases is Starling Marte. Took over Whit Merrifield's spot. And Trey Turner, surprisingly. Starling Marte has been good acquisition from the Athletics since the Ramon Laureano suspension. In terms of average, Trey Turner, this could easily change like in a game. You got Turner, Vlad Jr., Castellanos, Marte, Brantley. Brantley's really surprising. I mean, you don't really hear from Brantley a lot, and he still gets on base. On base percentage, Juan Soto. Slugging, Fernando Tatis Jr. And OPS is Bryce Harper. Crazy to see Bryce Harper doing really well this season. Bryce Harper could definitely have a nice resurgence, and I think we are definitely seeing a huge resurgence out of Bryce Harper. Simply enough, with Bryce Harper, he really had like a kind of like a 4 to 5 year. He played well, just nothing super crazy, and then he really just came out and just obliterated everything. So appreciate that. So we're gonna have to see what Harper does, but we are at the 110 mark, so we're probably gonna call it a stream here. If anyone else has any more comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to drop them below. We are very, very close to 500 subscribers. I think we are one away from 450. So if you are not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. If you know anyone that's interested in the Mets, baseball, whatever, they don't have to be a Mets fan. We have a ton of non-Mets fans in the chat. If you know anyone that is interested, please feel free. Share the stream with them. If you can, share the stream with them. Turn on those post notifications. Let's try to get out there. I mean, the offseason is going to be a huge, big thing. This offseason, it's going to look really good. We're going to have a lot of stuff going. We're going to do a lot of streams during the offseason, during free agencies. I know videos are going to be back. I know I don't really upload a whole lot of videos. I've been doing a lot of more live streams, simply enough, which makes sense because, there's only so much to talk about in a video. And I like to do the live streams, gets to communicate, with the community, have a great dialogue, all that great stuff. So probably going to call it a stream here. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Let's go Mets. Game tonight. Till next time, baseball fans, let's freaking go Mets. LFGM. See y'all.